taken you from that rush of competitiveness down to sadly being down the back of the field?
It has been really good recently, but I think it's these new circuits with the new surface. The asphalt's really slippery normally, so I think that's probably one of the biggest things that have come into it. We also struggled in Qatar on that really slippery surface, so I think potentially that's honestly what's hurt the team so far. But we had a really good race pace, so to be honest, I'm quite interested for the race.
There's 2 races left to overhaul that 7-point deficit to Williams. Not the easiest job today with Williams starting on that 3rd row of the grid. As you said, you've got great race pace. How does the team hope to max?
So there's definitely potential for it to be a good race in that term, but the only other way strategy, trying to be a little bit different with pit stops, undercut, overcut, things like that. Very simple stuff, but honestly, that's really the only way you can come forwards, and obviously you need to have the pace as well.
This circuit, every circuit is unique, obviously, but this circuit, it feels like something special. It's incredibly fast, quite technical. Some of the guys saying it might be a better race circuit than a qualifying circuit. What do you make of it?
I think it's probably going to be a better race circuit, I would say. Also, as the race goes on, obviously it'll rubber in and get a bit faster and a bit nicer for the guys to drive on. I had a very small experience. I did some hot laps before. It's actually quite fun to drive.
Cool.
I enjoyed it. So, but I think, honestly, it's probably going to be a better race. I think a better racetrack than a quali track.
Lovely stuff. Thank you so much for input, mate. Appreciate it. Enjoy the Grand Prix. And from Liam back to Laura with more conversation on this intense battle for 7th place in the Constructors' Championship.
Thanks very much indeed to Will and indeed to Liam Lawson. Great to hear his thoughts as well. We'll keep an eye on him through 2024. We may well see him on a grid in coming years. Who knows? But he had a great stint, didn't he, in that Alpha Tauri. We look now to Alfa Romeo here behind us. Valtteri Bottas starting P7. And my word, do they need points, don't they? In this battle for P7, P8, P9 and P10. Alfa Romeo have got to get their elbows out here. Clearly, it's a track that suits them. We knew that from Monza, where he nicked point 2.
Exactly right. We've seen some of these lower downforce tracks. He had pace in Mexico in qualifying, wasn't able to convert to points in the race. It's really what they need, because everyone around them in this battle has been collecting points lately, maybe bar Haas, who also has a good qualifying position today. So it's going to be important for Alfa to do what they do best, which is call a good strategy. When it's an unknown situation like this and we don't have that data to pull off of, that could be a strength of them today. So fingers crossed they can pull something together.
Absolutely. They are P9 in the Constructor Championships and split quite widely as well throughout the grid, with Zhou down in P17. And we're seeing a mixed up grid, aren't we? And it's a chance for the likes of Valtteri Bottas to take advantage of this.
Absolutely. It's not often you get these opportunities, right? You have to take advantage of it when they come. We've talked about teams taking advantage of unexpected speed when they have it. You know, when you look at Q3, only 2 teams had both cars in it. Ferrari, no surprise, even though Carlos then got a penalty, and Williams. So you're talking 1 Mercedes, 1 Red Bull, 1 Alpine, and 1 Aston Martin. So it is really mixed up. It's not just this rows of team cars all the way through like you sometimes see. A lot of opportunities for a lot of people today.
It's not 2 by 2 by any stretch. And very quickly on to Haas, P8 for Magnussen, P13 for Hulk. Magnussen showing Hulkenberg indeed what is possible in that Haas here, looking good.
It's an interesting situation at Haas because the 2 drivers have taken different setups. Nico has kind of reverted to the old spec car. Kevin's really liking the new car. It's working well for him here. So maybe Nico not thrilled with his choice after qualifying, but again, another team that really needs to capitalize on a good starting position.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks very much, Hinch. Okay, we are about to hear the roar of Formula One engines as they make their way on the reconnaissance laps here to the grid. Will Buxton is poised, ready, raring at green light. Will.
I am indeed, Laura, and the first car's on the way out is the Haas down there. Kevin Magnussen and Nico Hulkenberg hoping for a great afternoon, and then Zhou Guanyu there in the Alfa Romeo. Just 10 seconds now until green light. We're actually down here in the very last garage, which is doubling up as a restaurant here, so I'm just sat up here taking the weight off for a little bit, and now green light. And the expectation rises. The drivers leave the pit lane. Next up, the 2 Aston Martins of Lance Stroll and Fernando Alonso, lacking the straight line speed that they'd hoped for this weekend. And then the entertainment industry down that street, the disruption to normal life here. Only in Vegas could they do something like this. The absolute craziness, the insanity of the idea of putting a Grand Prix track here is something astronomical. I never thought in my lifetime we would see a Grand Prix here, and yet we are, and the drivers leave the pit lane now to get those recon laps. So important, as you guys have been saying, the wind building up around here. The temperature's not quite as cool as they have been throughout the weekend, but how much will that wind affect them out on track? And of course, will they get the opportunities, and how many opportunities, to try out some practice starts? Because they haven't really done too many of them through the course of this weekend. Of course, they'll do those down towards the exit there as Nico Hülkenberg exits. And now the Williams, which I know people are going to be focused on, particularly that one of Logan Sargent, and what can Lewis Hamilton do from P10 on the grid. There, the car of Carlos Sainz, of course, starting from down in the second half of the grid. Expectations for this Las Vegas Grand Prix ever so high. I cannot remember more exciting, more exhilarating, more exhausting weekend. And there is your pole sitter, Charles Leclerc, heading out now on track. They're out there. Track conditions looking pretty good as the guys line up, ready to take their practice starts and get all of that